फिर काम स्टार्ट करें, मेरी 5 से 6 बजे जाएंगे। 3 बजे काम स्टार्ट करें, 6 बजे जा रही थी वैक्सीन करने पाऊँ का, वैसे ही आ गई। मुझे स्क्रबिंग करना था फेस का। बच्चा दूध तो है ही, अगर दूध का मिला तो करके आ।
श्याम। हेलो श्याम।
हेलो।
हाँ, एंटर करवा दे इन लोगों को।
मास्टर क्लास का लगा के रहो।
हाँ, वो तू एंटर तो करवा दे तब तक मैं। Hi Rohan. Hi Situ. Hi Dr. Brilliant. Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, hi Faisal. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Great.
I just checking quickly. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Situ.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
सीतू, you have to be
Rohan,
audible. हम लोग audible नहीं होंगे तो चलेगा.
Rohan, your video is coming a little easy.
Is it?
Setu, you are off. Setu, your voice was not audible. No.
Okay. Now is it audible?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
audible.
Okay, awesome.
And
So I
if
was
you are
saying कि
use-
मुझे तो सिर्फ सवाल पूछना है, बाकी तो सेशन आप ही होस्ट करने वाले हो सर.
if you are using a green screen, your shoulder is getting cut off.
Because of mic, I think that should be better now, right? ठीक है?
Yeah, now it's better.
Rohan's cameras got stuck.
Rohan, I think your video is paused.
Yeah, it got paused. Even I'll just call him.
Hmm.
He's
He is entering the day.
yeah. So admit him from that.
Yes.
Hi Rohan, again.
So, Faisal, I think Setu slide will be first one, and then Setu is going to introduce Rohan, Pratin, and
No, it will be
Prableen, right?
how it is in the poster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first it's Setu and then Rohan.
Yeah. Then we have Pratin, and then Prableen.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes. So we'll wait for Prablin and then we'll just start them.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
You're audible.
Okay. Now my lights went off in the office, so the room has got suddenly very dark here.
Ah.
So I had to log in from my mobile phone.
Yeah. So there's one connection which is still on. It could be a ghost connection.
Yeah, so no, from here it's got disconnected, my laptop connection.
Hmm.
Because the lights went off, so the Wi-Fi also went off.
Oh, okay.
Prablin is joining in 2 to 5 minutes.
I saw some of your videos, Rohan. They were nice. Did you start doing this during lockdown? That's a recording, or were you doing it earlier also?
You mean when there are a couple of which are just raw shots and some of them are professionally shot.
Professionally shot, yeah.
So I think the first one I did was, which one did you see? One me playing the piano and
Yes.
yeah, and that was done in 2017, 18,
Aj.
before the lockdown.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That
Are
was
you
the first.
Did you train professionally?
No, I am not.
Then you're blessed, yeah. You should.
Yeah, I'm not. But I've been.
I understand you are doing pursuing your PhD in human resources. वो भी साथ में कर लो.
वही नहीं हो रहा है. मुझे लगता है मुझे मेरे प्रोफाइल से भी हटा देना चाहिए that I'm pursuing PhD. It's difficult, yeah. With a full-time job,
Yeah,
getting and
of course.
doing research is very difficult. Yeah, very difficult.
And Rohan, just in case if you haven't, oh, somebody is already there. Hiral.
She's part of it.
Oh, okay. So just in case if you haven't, do check out some of the Friday ke Fun Days by Brilliant on YouTube. Even they are interesting.
Acha, sure, I will.
Nice.
What is it? Friday ke? Fun day.
Friday ke Fun Day, you check out his name. I think you'll find his channel very easily, and he has various segments running on it.
सही है, देखता हूँ मैं, check करता हूँ. After our call today.
Someone called Nisha is waiting.
Yeah, so all the participants are in the waiting room.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, brace yourselves. Just in case if Prableen, has an issue, you all get more questions.
More questions, more trouble.
But did she
More
confirm
fun,
or
यार. You both are YouTubers. तो मतलब ये तो given है आपके लिए.
No, she told she's joining. She's having some technical issues.
No worries.
Check if Nisha is probably not just check. She's joining. So as soon as she joins, we can start the webinar. Just wait for her.
Brilliant. What does a quote say behind your background? In your background, winners are those who
winners are those who never fail, but those who never quit?
but those.
Prableen is in.
Hi, Prableen. You need to mute yourself. Unmute yourself, Prableen.
Can you just, I'm joining through another platform. Yeah.
Okay.
another- yeah. Am I audible, Faisal?
Yes, you're audible. And if you all are fine, we can enter all the participants, allow all the participants in.
Prableen's
Yes.
video is
All good.
off.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
we-
Prableen.
Yeah.
All right. So request the host to please enter all the participants.
Prableen, is it a mobile or a laptop?
A laptop now. Earlier I joined through mobile. Is it okay?
If you can
Yeah,
just
I'm just trying to adjust it. I think so.
Right.
Is it okay now? Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah.
Prableen.
All right, so it's 3 p.m. and we are all set to begin with our today's webinar. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are all set to begin with another accelerating session on connecting the dots. First of all, we would like to thank our esteemed speakers for being part of this panel discussion. So welcoming Mr. Rohan Lele, CPO of HLE Glass Group Limited and Yash Group. Dr. Brillian SK, CPO of Times Pro. Ms. Prableen Kaur, Head HR of Imperial Auto Industries Limited. Mr. Setu Shah, for Global HCM Product Strategy Director of Oracle. Changes is an inevitable part of life, and this holds true for organizations as well. Whether driven by market forces, technology advancement, or shifts in business strategy, change is a constant companion in the corporate world. However, one of the most significant challenges organizations face when implementing change initiatives is the resistance they encounter from their own employees. Navigating the human element in change management is crucial for the success of any transformation. Our esteemed panelists would be sharing their views on this insightful topic, navigating the human element, strategies for overcoming resistance to change. HRAI welcomes you all to the session Connecting the Dots. To know more about HRAI and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all the participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I would now take the privilege for introducing our moderator for the session, Mr. Setu Shah, Global HCM Product Strategy Director of Oracle. Setu Shah is an accomplished digital technology professional with nearly 2 decades of experience. His role of Global HCM Product Strategy Director at Oracle aligns with his passion for HR and flair for product management, helping drive SaaS-based digital HR transformation for enterprises. He shares insights through webinars, articles, lectures, and mentoring tech startups for growth. He is recognized as HRA's 40 under 40 change maker in 2023 cohort. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Without wasting much time, I will now hand over the platform to Mr. Setu. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Faisal. And a big thanks to all the audience who have tuned in to this in this afternoon and our esteemed panelists. Faisal, if you can have the speaker's introduction, please. Yeah, thanks. All right. So our first speaker is Rohan Lele. He is an HR professional with 19 plus years of industry experience, a coach, a mentor, blogger, artist, and music enthusiast. He's a leadership coach, trainer, and transformational leader who firmly believes in building a sustainable organization through constant innovation and adoption of best people practices. Rohan has a lot of accolades to his names, awards, and recognitions across a lot of prestigious organizations. However, something that he's really passionate about is, apart from HR, is also singing and music. And you may want to follow him on YouTube as well. He has some amazing videos that you can check out where he himself is singing. Welcome, Rohan.
Thank you. Thanks, Setu, and thanks, HRAI.
Our next guest for today is Dr. Brilliant SK. Brilliant is a Chief People Officer at Times Pro or Times Group Initiative. He brings 25 years of work experience across diverse domains like education, information technology, logistics, working in blue chip organizations like Aptech, PNB Paribas, CRISIL, and SP Jain School of Global Management. He is an active social media enthusiast who shares his learnings through his own YouTube channel. You can follow him through some of the hashtags like Brilliant Tips or hashtag Friday Ke Fun Day. Quite interesting and exciting. Welcome, Brilliant.
Thank you, Setu. Thank you.
And our final panelist for today is Prableen Kaur. Prableen is an HR professional with 19 plus years of experience with managing change and shaping organizations in the acquisition phase. She has keen interest in classical dance, enjoys playing with colors. She is a mental health advocate and associated with organizations promoting awareness in the field of psychology and mental health. She is an ardent change management enthusiast, organizational development enthusiast. She has been exploring herself along the journey and believes that learning is a continuous journey. Welcome, Prableen.
Thank you so much. And thanks for a beautiful introduction, Setu.
Awesome. So once upon a time, there were two mice named Sniff and Scurry and two little people named Hem and Haw. They lived in a maze and looked for cheese to eat every day from a huge cheese station named C. They were so happy that they decided to stay there forever. One day, Sniff and Scurry noticed that the cheese station C was getting empty, so they went running around inside in the maze and discovered a new cheese station N in the maze. On the other hand, the little smart people Hem and Haw were scared and confused. They didn't know what to do. Hem cried in anger, "Who moved my cheese?" Hem refused to believe that cheese was gone and waited for it to come back. Haw, on the other hand, was more adaptable and thought that he would do as if he wasn't afraid of leaving cheese station C. He knew he had to change his plans and discovered that he was more happy roaming around in the maze and looking for new cheese. He traveled far and wide, facing many challenges along the way, but never gave up. He finally found a new cheese station N, even better than the first one. This condensed version of Who Moved My Cheese story is a reminder that change is inevitable and we must be adaptable in order to survive and thrive. Change is imperative to an organizational success, and companies look at their most agile assets, their people, to lead the way. Let's understand from our esteemed panelists how to navigate the human element through change and strategies for overcoming resistance to change. My first question goes to all the panelists, and I'll start with Rohan. So Rohan, if you could tell us what are the common reasons behind resistance to change in organizations and how can they be identified and addressed? You are on mute, Rohan. You may want to unmute. You are still on mute.
Sham, see if you've given the course, right?
Yeah, made in the post again.
That's okay. I think while Rohan sorts out his audio issues, we'll move on to Brilliant. Brilliant, if you could share your thoughts on this one, please.
Thank you, Setu. From once upon a time to even today, change is difficult. Metaphorically speaking, it's like marriage. Imagine a newlywed walking into the in-law space. How would I be treated? Would there be positivity? Would this happen? Would that happen? So many questions. Similarly, change is directly influenced by what the company or organization believes are the core values and culture that drives the organization. And it could be construed positive or negative. And from an organization perspective, if we take a step back and think of it, if I am the one who's getting into the mode of being changed, it could be a trap, TRAP. That is also a solution. If I need to look at changing things, I need to set the trap right. T starts with trust. Trust is a must. It's the building block for anything to do with goal achievement, especially when it comes to change. If there is trust, everything can go smoothly. Then comes R from the trap. It's role modeling. We've always seen people love to emulate what happens at the top. So if it's a top-down approach, starting from the leaders, the N-1, the N-2 levels, if each one of these people are able to emulate and model it effectively, I think change can be made very easy. Then comes the most important element, which quite often it gets lost in the humdrum of all the things that we do. That is alignment to the business outcome. Letting people know the why and what is essential. The last element, which is the P, which completes the trap to set us free, is positive communication. There will be changes, there will be challenges. Until and unless we are able to build positivity around the communication around it, I don't think we will be able to make any difference. So for me, if you really need to navigate and manage TRAP, trust, role modeling, aligned to business outcome, and positive communication. Over to you, Setu.
Thanks a lot, Brilliant. That was awesome and fairly easy for all of us to remember. Trap to set us free, trust, role modeling, alignment to business outcomes, and positive communication. Thanks a lot. Rohan, would you want to? Is your audio issue
Oh, yes.
sorted? Can you?
Am I
I
audible
can hear
now?
you. Yeah, you are.
Great. So, good afternoon, everyone. And I think a brilliant question to start with. I think there are three reasons why change doesn't happen, or in fact, most of the times the change efforts fail. And the first is the context. Often the leaders do not set the context, as a result of which, the entire change effort fails. I think number two is lack of collaboration. All the stakeholders who are involved in the change process, they do not collaborate, or there is not enough alignment between them, as a result of which the change efforts fail. And the third is the content. I mean, how that change, the content is important, which is with reference to the communication of change. So I think these are the three C's. If they are taken care, if you take care of the content, the context, and collaboration, I think the change will happen.
Awesome. So we are getting to know a lot of nice acronyms. Thanks a lot, Rohan. Context, collaboration, and content. Great. Prableen, over to you.
It has been addressed very nicely, trap and three C's, which Rohan has just explained. So I would like to say from my own experience of managing change directly. So a lot of theory is involved, but at the time when it is actually there at hands, how to execute the change. It's very important to communicate the need or generate the curiosity among the people that they need to change to suit the environment, to suit the socio-economical conditions which are influencing their business. But how to do it? When we talk about collaboration, so collaboration at what level? Is it a collaboration at the level of the top management, or collaboration of top and middle management, or collaboration among all the stakeholders, the number of employees, for making that change to happen seamlessly in the organization? So a lot of times it happens that we make plan of the change, we do communication also, but what happens, it becomes a top-down approach. So when it is a top-down approach decided somewhere else and implemented somewhere else, it creates sort of anxiety, sort of fear in the mind of the people. The great simile which has been given by Dr. Brilliant as marriage, right? So it's a top-down approach. So if we have to make change journey successful, alleviate the fear and anxiety which it generates in the system, the change has to be collaborative. It means initiatives have to be collaborative. So can we make couple of people as leader of some project and include employees from the middle management, from the lower starting freshers also in those groups, and then start the journey of change, accomplishing some projects? Can we make certain breakthrough projects which the outcome of those projects has to be a changed ways of working? So that actually makes the change journey easy for the employees because they feel themselves to be part of the process. So when the context, the purpose of the change is important, it's very important also to make those employees part of the process, and there they own the change easily, seamlessly. So that's what I believe, and I have had experience also. To make the change journey comfortable, it's very important to make all the employees or stakeholders who are going to be impacted in the process of change, make them part of the process of the change to alleviate fears, risks, their anxiety. So the cycle of change, instead it is going through depression and then coming out, it should become little linear if they are part of the process. So that is what I'm stating purely through my own experience of leading change in various organizations. That why change fails, because it becomes a top-down approach. A simple change of digitalization of HR processes is not owned up very, very easily by the employees. They don't adopt to the digital way of working. Though success factors and so many other such tools are available in the market for a very long time. But even then today, if some new organization has to start a change process and change from the manual to a digitalized way of working, it takes a lot of efforts. So why digitalization? Can I have a group of people involved in designing those modules, in running those modules in the testing phase and then launching them? They will be part of the process. There will be so much of pride involved to make that change a success in the organization. So a very simple, a very small example I've quoted, not a long or very big transformation, but simple movement from manual to digitalized ways of working. This is also a change. Yeah, so I believe that so many places, if I have been able to taste some success while leading the change projects, people were part of the process. A lot of CFTs, a lot of teams were generated, and they led those projects instead of we sitting in the boardrooms deciding something, outsourcing something, and making it part of, just throwing it into the system. So we made it part of the process. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Thanks a lot. Generate curiosity, collaboration at all levels, and inclusion at all levels. Great
Absolutely.
pointers. Thanks a lot, Prableen. Just taking, a thread out of the same, a question: how does the company culture and values impact the way employees perceive and react to change? What strategies can be employed to align culture with change initiatives?
Fantastic. So shall I take it up?
Oh yeah, yes, Prableen.
Yeah, okay.
That one is for you.
Okay, great. So yeah, values do play a very strong role in driving the change. And every thread I will say a lot of points Dr. Brilliant touched, and he spoke about the values. There is a beautiful model which has been given by Edgar Schein. It's a very famous model which is based on artifacts and espoused values and beliefs. Yeah. So, couple of things which are just visible to the eyes. I'll again give you example. If I have, if we try, if you will experience the change of the management, so the change becomes so difficult. A couple of the things are so visible. The way we dress up today. There are a couple of organizations which will define the uniforms to the workplace. And there are a lot of today, the Generation Z, the technology centers, they have done away with the uniforms. Yeah. So this was also one of the change. So how to change it? How to convince the management? How to convince that we are going to change the way we are going to operate in the organization to suit the new environment. So I'm taking examples simply from the phase of post-COVID era. Post-COVID era, we have experienced the phase of the Great Resignation. So one is the values defined as a customer-centric, right? Speed of execution. So if my employees or the availability of the employees is a problem, didn't we shift to the flexible ways of working? So the DNA of the organization sometimes needs to be reworked, reevaluated, and we need to redefine ourselves as per the changing environment to steer the change in the organization. So we created a simple strategy based on the 4 E's. And those 4 E's were based on the values which are displayed everywhere. So it is, first E was enliven. That was a visual impact by creating the logos, by creating the business cards of our values, just as a reminder to the people. We created thank you cards just to enhance the culture of gratitude in the system and to build happiness quotient in the organization. So then education plays such an important role. Awareness programs, they play so much of important role. Building storyboards, celebrating the success, even celebrating the failures. So this goes a long way. So those 4 E's were enliven, educate, encourage, and engrave. So finally, how to put those process check parameters, how to reward the people for the positive reinforcement, and to make those changed ways or changed beliefs as a way of the culture, as a part or DNA of the culture. So a couple of parameters also needs to be put in place. So our own assumptions, our own belief system, which defines largely organization culture, needs to be evaluated very clearly. And then the strategies needs to be put in place. So how can we actually energize a system by connecting them to the purpose, by creating that curiosity among the masses, that which are we ready to adopt or to tweak or to add to the existing value system another thing to make the change happen. So there's a very fine, I was going through this article, and they say that we need to evaluate our vision statement and our existing value system. After every 4 to 5 years, we must evaluate it. The core or the DNA of the organization always remains same. What we can do, we can always define the guiding principles from there, that what will operate now as an offshoot of my core value, to make and to connect the people to those guiding systems, operating values, so that they should understand and become part of the change. So I think, values and culture, they are very, very important elements which define and which drive the change in the organization. So if there
Great.
is a culture of an autocratic style, how to make it a participative management? From the shift from the autocratic style of management to a participative management, how to go about it? So we have to put those measures in place. That is how maybe some organization is working for years and years. But now, as the times have changed, so participative management is very important. So how to transform it? So
Yeah.
there's some value which driving it, and we really need to plug and bridge those gaps.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot, Prableen, for your willingness to challenge the status quo and sharing a lot of your, experiences. My next question goes to Rohan. Rohan, if you could share some insights on how do leaders and managers play a critical role in mitigating resistance to change on one side, and on the other side, the role that employees can play in managing and implementing change.
Great. So I think, I have a very simple model here, which can be deployed at workplace. And you will not find it anywhere on Google. This is my own model. And it's, again, you're going to hear a lot of acronyms today. This is one more from my side. I think when it comes to employers or leaders and managers, and when it comes to what is their role in deploying change, I think there's a model that I call it as AID. The leaders or managers must aid change. Now, let me tell you what this AID stands for. AID, A stands for address the why. I think this is the most fundamental when it comes to change. Why is this change required? What is in it for me? Why is it important for the organizational success? I think when you address the why in the room, when you address the elephant in the room, I think the job of change management becomes a lot more easier. So A stands for address the why. I stands for involve all the stakeholders. I think no change can be achieved if the concerned stakeholders are not made party to the process of change. So their involvement, their active involvement in the process of change is very, very important, because that's the only way you can create more and more positive influencers and brand ambassadors for cultivating a change. And D stands for deploy the right strategy. I think any change begins with strategy and ends at execution. But deploying the right strategy is very, very important. And that is what is the job of leaders and managers put together. So to sum it up, A stands for address the why. I stands for involve all the stakeholders. And D stands for deploy the right strategy. So that's it when it comes to the role of leaders and managers. And now when it comes to the role of employees, there's another model, and which is called as ask. Yeah, so this ask A again stands for ask questions, clarify your doubts, ask as many questions as you want to ask, because that will build more awareness. that will build more context, that will build more confidence in you as an employee that this change is actually good for me and good for the organization. So ask as many questions as you want to ask. S stands for seek support and guidance. Every change comes with another C, which is called as chaos. No change in the world happens without chaos.
Yes.
And the more guidance you seek, the more support you seek, it brings in clarity.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So effective change is C minus C, which is chaos minus, I mean, the more clarity you seek, the better you are when it comes to change.
Yeah.
So I think that is very, very important. So seek support and guidance because it leads to a lot of clarity for you as an employee. And K stands for knowledge. I think very important. Every individual working in the organization is a knowledge worker. Every individual brings his or her own unique strengths. And I think there is a very important role as an employee, and that is to contribute positively to that change with your knowledge. So knowledge is power, is true, and it is my duty, my moral obligation, my ethical responsibility as an employee to use that knowledge to enable that change. Because leaders alone cannot do everything. There's an equal responsibility that lies with the employee. So to sum it up, ask. A stands for ask as many questions as you want to ask. S stands for seek guidance and support so that it brings in more clarity. And K stands for contribute with your knowledge to enable a positive change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohan. Today is the day of acronyms, everyone. And our panelists are making it extremely easy for all of us to remember a lot of key pointers that they are giving. So a big thanks to everyone. Brilliant. My next question is to you. What are some of the psychological factors that contribute to resistance to change, and how can they be leveraged to facilitate smoother transitions?
Thank you for that question. And I think the question itself is an answer, because the moment we talk about change, the first thing that comes to us is the cough, the fear, right? I think Prableen also spoke about it in her narrative of how fear is the one thing that makes us feel uncomfortable. What would happen? Change of work, loss of control, job loss, so many thoughts. What I feel is most of us are so comfortable in the comfort zone that comfort zone se bahar jana hi nahi hai. Because we feel if we move out of it, Sukhi Jeevan syndrome will be disrupted. And it will require employees to do things beyond the comfort zone. They are, as they say, attached to status quo. Jaisa hai, waisa theek hai. And I think as facilitators for this change process from a human resource perspective, we need to bring in strategic communication, engagement to let them know dar ke aage jeet hai. Growth and success can happen out of the comfort zone. Involve people, listen to them, and continue to communicate. And since we are talking of acronyms, and I just saw that pop-up come up saying Rohan, CPO. I thought, why not look at CPO as one of the acronyms for today? I'm sure most of us and dosa at home or even at hotels, restaurants, right? Main thing about the batter needs the first letter of the CPO, C, which is consistency. The consistency in culture. We need to integrate the values of core vital for culture, where every initiatives align back to the values. It is more likely to be consistent when right from the top, as Prableen had mentioned, it's not just about top down, but bottom up also. That's when the consistency comes in. Everyone speaking the same language, as we call it in jargonized terminology. All of us are on the same page. Right? Now, this consistency helps ease the transition and makes change more comfortable for people. I remember way back in 2016 when I joined, my first question to my CEO was, what are the core values, vision, mission of the organization? And he said, congratulations, this is your first project. And when we started working on it, that's when I realized that while we define vision, we define values, we define the mission, what's critical is identifying the purpose, the P of the CPO. What is the purpose for which we exist? Why are we looking at all of these vision, mission, values for us as an organization? When we are able to bring that purpose to light, everything becomes so easy, right? The why becomes clearer for us. And that's when we go back to the O, which is open communication. It's not just okay to define something and keep it on the wall and put it across as values, vision, mission, values, but make sure that there is transparency, there is open communication, there is consistent effort where employees, and I would say, why only employees? Take it to all the stakeholders involved in the organization, where they are kept informed about why this change is happening, what is the need for it, what are the expected outcome, what are the possible challenges. And this can enhance the trust and reduce resistance, thereby impacting the psychological factors that, push us to resist change. I think that would be my submission, CPO.
This
Thanks
is
a
a
lot, Brilliant.
beautiful definition of CPO, very interesting acronym. Dr. Brilliant.
Thank you.
So innovative. So just want to add, if we are talking about the resistance by the employees and we talk about fear, anxiety. So generally we refer to Kluber-Ross change graph. It is Ross graph of change. And it goes like inverted V with little plateau here, inverted and deep. Yeah. But intended change should be like this. So this deep curve, downward curve, needs to be eliminated and change has to be like this. And I think so it can be made possible with great CPO, AID acronyms. They will work wonders. And the change which takes fully, it can be condensed to a few months. So must refer to the Ross graph of change, and that will talk in a big way why employees resist change.
Thanks, Pravleen, for building on to what Brilliant mentioned already. Appreciate that. My next question is for all the panelists here. You all come from quite diverse industries, and it would be great to understand, are there any industry specific or sector specific challenges that need to be considered when addressing resistance to change? And if you could provide any real world organizational context or examples basis your experience, that'll be great. We'll start off with Rohan. Rohan, you are on mute. Okay. Just give it a shot. Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think in my opinion, the challenges when it comes to resistance of change, by and large remain the same, and they are really agnostic of what sector you work in. What really changes is the context, because your business is different, your consumers are very different, the cycle of the business is very different, the nature of the business is very different, the product and the product shelf life is very different, maybe the kind of competition is very different, so the context changes. And and because the context changes, your strategy to navigate change also needs to be different. For example, Brilliant works for an edtech organization and I work for an engineering company, right? Now the businesses are very different. Our customers that we are catering to are very, very different. Yeah. So, and hence his organization's vision, values and purpose will be very different as compared to mine. And because the context is different, hence the way you navigate through that change, the strategy changes. But if you ask him that, is there competition in that segment in his business? Yes. Same is the case with me. So I think a lot of our challenges are the same. So they are agnostic of sectors today. But because of the context changing, the strategy changes. And to give an example here,
Yes.
look at Ravana in the Ramayana and the role of Ram, and then look at Duryodhana in Mahabharata and the role of Krishna. Two avatars of the same God, that is Vishnu. However, two different eras, two different kind of enemies, and two different contexts. And the entire strategy, it was completely different. Maybe the challenge is, you were still fighting the evil in the Ramayana and you were still fighting the evil in Mahabharata. But then the context was different and hence the strategy was different.
Great. Thanks a lot, Rohan. So agnostic problems, and I loved the analogy. One thing that I heard about these different eras is that they earlier believed that evil was outside the country. Then I think in the next yuga they kind of came across that evil was within the same family itself. So that was one of the core differences that even I came across. Thanks a lot. Brilliant. Would you want to build on to this, or if you have any opposing views, would be glad to know.
Yeah, so I think it's all about the medicine, the why, right? It starts with the why, the what, helping employees understand why this change is important and aligning it to the mission, as I said, is the key. I'll share one example. We were in the process of building a core IT tech team. We are into EdTech, mostly a sales driven organization, but we said, okay, let's start becoming the tech part of the EdTech and build a team. When we started looking out, unlike IT companies, our culture is very different, right? If you look at IT companies, it's like, okay, you come whenever you want, you probably get all the freebies that are there. You can walk in anytime, walk out anytime, as long as outcomes are delivered, nothing changes, nothing matters. But when we were looking out to hire people, we had constraints, timelines saying 9 to 5 ka job hoga. You need to come to office every day. You need to report in this manner. You need to do all of this. I think we started hitting a big roadblock in terms of attracting the right kind of talent. And being in that spot is a tricky thing. Now, while we talk about employees adapting to change, I would like to bring in an element where the organization itself had to change. Because if I had stuck on to my need to be 9 to 5 in office every day, this is what is being considered as work, I would have probably not been able to build that team. So we had to rethink the strategy. We had to rethink about going back to what I said, the purpose. The purpose was to build the company as an higher edtech company rather than just focus on few things and say, chalo, ye bhi chal raha hai. We are not just a sales driven organization. So when we accepted the fact that techies have a different way of working, and for them, what makes a difference is outcomes. Even if it takes 48 hours for them to sit and code and deliver, they will do it. But if you ask them to come every day and clock that 48 hours, I think that would have really not helped us change the organization culture. So today, when I look at it, instead of forcing them to accept, we adopted. I go back to what Rohan had mentioned earlier, right? There are 3 phases to it. One is you look at what is happening around, you adopt, then you become adept in what you're doing. And then people will start looking at you to adopt from what you have done. So adapt, adapt so that others can adopt from your strategy. Change needs to be looked at as a two-way process. It's not just about one-way communication. Again, I'm breaking the barriers by cutting across employees and organization. So if there is a need for the organization also to change based on the dynamics that exist in the environment and the market conditions, I think if organizations are willing to do it, organizations must change.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, quite interesting. Brilliant. So 3 A's: adapt, adapt, and adopt. I've noted in the chat as well. Thanks a lot. Coming to Pravleen. Pravleen, you have had you have touched quite a few industries in your career as well. It's been healthcare, it's been engineering, it's been conglomerates. Have you observed any interesting nuances which change across different industries or sectors that you would want to share?
Absolutely, Setu. Just keeping a watch on the time. In the interest of time, I would
That's
say
okay. I have that. Yeah,
it is something, human element in the change is very important. And it is constant everywhere. Whatever industry you are trying to establish that change process, that human element and psychology behaves in the similar fashion and grows through the cycle of Kluwer Rose, which is so eminent, which is so visible. So when we come, your question was that is it something sector specific change? Yeah, the experience of change can be different, not exactly across different sectors, I would say. Maybe the context has to be different, the strategy has to be different, but the change experience can be different with different set of employees, with different set of people. Change with a set of people who are working on the shop floor, a one simple engagement activity can create wow. What they have done. A simple pat on the back will be something great for them. And they will be so obliged to you. Okay, my boss has come or someone from corporate has gone and patted my back.
Yeah.
This is. When you come to the sophisticated doctors and nurses, this will not work at all. Their recognition and their engagement has to be extremely different, very sophisticated, come with a package, beautifully designed, crafted, and then you can't guarantee it is going to be 100% a welcoming gesture from them. So change impacts different human beings in a different manner. So it's also perception of the set of the people who are experiencing change. So I believe it's not so much as to do with the sector, but it is actually a set of people who have to experience a change. Change on the land of Syria and the change on the land of US. Where would the impact will be felt more? In the Syria. They are already in the trouble. They are facing trouble every day, every moment, and experiencing pain. So for them, a small change even happens over there. If they have access to right food freely, that would also be welcomed in a big way. And in the country like US, where everything is there, what change will do to them? Adding more luxury to existing luxury. Will they experience the same kind of wow? So change is something extremely human-centric, human-specific, and human element plays a very big role in change. So change experience, I feel that it is directly related to the experience of the human being. So our strategy is to deal with the human sentiments, that what kind of folks I'm going to deal with while experimenting, communicating, and establishing my change strategy, even the communication strategy. I would
Awesome.
say.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I loved these different flavors of the same answer across different industries. I mean, fairly interesting. Uh, let's kind of move on to a slightly fast-tracked Q&A. Let's have a quick rapid fire. So we'll go in order. We'll have Rohan, Brilliant, and Prableen giving us 1 to 2 words answer for these. And I would encourage our participants as well to use the chat window and share their thoughts, their perspectives in a word or two. And let's see how many of you all align with the thoughts of our panelists. So the first question of our rapid fire is, what is the biggest challenge of change management? Rohan. Okay, you are unable to unmute. Brilliant.
Mindset.
Mindset. Okay. Prableen.
I would say it's also perception.
Perception. Rohan.
The biggest challenge of change management is management.
Management. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Great. Guys, please use the chat window. Would love to hear from you all if you are aligned to any of our panelists, or if you all have any thoughts of your own. So Nupur says unclarity. That's interesting. Thanks, Nupur. All right. The next question. What is the key to overcoming resistance to change? Rohan.
I think context, collaboration, and communication.
The 3 C's. Okay. Brilliant.
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Oh, okay. Yes, Prableen.
Communication strategy.
Communication strategy. Nupur kind of agrees with a lot of you all. She says open communication. Any other participants? Please feel free to use the chat window. Thanks. The next one. What is the most important thing leaders can do when implementing change? We start with Brilliant.
If I were Vidya Balan, I would say communicate.
Communicate. Okay, awesome. Prableen.
It's same context setting and
Context setting.
communication,
Okay.
connecting them to the purpose of the change. Purpose, yeah.
Okay. Rohan.
I'll go back to my AID model, the AID.
AID. Awesome. One of our participants says hand holding. So that's interesting. Yes.
Interesting. Very good.
Okay, the next one. What is one thing that can derail change initiatives, that can kill, that can move it to a different plane or direction, trajectory altogether? We start with Prableen.
Poor communication.
Poor communication. Okay. Or the lack of it. Great.
Yeah.
Rohan.
Lack of trust.
Lack of trust. Nupur says losing the track of purpose. Okay. Brilliant.
Lack of commitment.
Lack of commitment. Okay. Wow. That's deep. That's nice. All right. The next one. What is the secret to successful change management? We start with Brilliant. I think we kind of touched on this one, right? Persistence. Okay.
Persistence.
Prableen is nodding at me. She's saying communication. Is it?
It's commitment.
Commitment. Okay. Awesome. Rohan?
I think you got to make it compelling.
Compelling. Wow. That's nice. Okay. All right. The last one. What is the most important thing HR team can do in such an initiative? We spoke about what the managers should do, what the leadership should do, what the employees should do. So I think especially for our audience who are from the HR fraternity itself, what is one of the most important things that you believe HR teams can do?
Should I go first?
Yes, Rohan, please.
I think 3 roles for the HR team. I think be the enablers of change, facilitate change, and collaborate with the key stakeholders for change.
Okay, awesome. Prableen,
Role
your
model.
take on it?
Role modeling is very important.
Role
for
modeling is very
change.
important.
Very
Wow,
important.
wow, that's nice. So preach what you practice, practice what you preach.
Absolutely. Say what you do what you say.
Awesome. Brilliant.
I would say believe, belong, and behave.
Believe, belong, and behave. Great. Amazing. So thanks. I mean, that was the last question from my side. We are slightly on time and slightly over time. I think a mix of both because Faisal has been fairly accommodating. Thanks a lot, all the panelists, for sharing your brilliant insights. I've had the best seat in the house, asking questions from our audience. A lot of the ones that I had as well. So really appreciate the time and the insights that you all shared. And thanks HRAI for hosting and facilitating such an insightful conversation.
Thank you, Setu. So before we move on to the Q&A round, we'll be running a poll. Request all the participants to please give your valuable feedback on this session. During this time, we request all our participants to feel free and put their questions in the chat window.
So if there is anything, that you all want to ask and I didn't ask, or, something more that you would want to know from Rohan, Prableen, or Brilliant, please feel free to use the chat window.
Setu, if there are some questions I've shared to you, if you can get those questions just in case.
Shall I begin asking
Yes.
questions right away? Okay, awesome. Okay. The first one is I'll kind of leave the floor open for it. How can organizations balance the need for stability and predictability with the necessity of adapting to an ever-changing business environment? How can they balance stability and predictability? Brilliant, would you want to take this up?
Lost. I didn't hear you.
Okay. My question was, how can organizations balance the need for stability and predictability with the necessity to adapting to ever-changing business environment? So in this changing business environment, how does an organization kind of maintain that balance of stability, keeping the things same, at the same time predicting and changing things?
So I'll take a dig at it
Paradoxical question.
because
Love that. Yeah.
exactly. No, it's very difficult to respond to such a question in a simple one-liner. But I think when it comes to stability and predictability, there's no organization that would not want it,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
we need to go back to what is it that the purpose for a change was, or what is it that we want to achieve? What is the long-term goal? If there is, I would say, an assessment of where I want to be, while we said it's going back to one of the things that I love the most, which is data. Where are we? What is it that we have achieved till now, and where do we want to go? Reminds me of the song by Cotton Eye Joe, Where Did You Come From? Where Do You Go? If you know where you have come from and you know where you want to go, I think it will become relatively easier for you to solve for bringing in stability and predictability. And again, it's an organizational call based on the dynamics to decide how much of risk and challenges are they willing to take.
Agreed.
Just
Thanks a
to
lot.
build
I think
on-
as yes, Prableen.
Just to build on and just to make it a little simple, when we say stability and predictability, when I was answering one of the questions I mentioned about that there was a common management lesson also, and so many consultants also advocate, thought leaders also advocate, that it's every 3 to 5 years, it's time to revisit our vision statement.
Yes.
The mission, the purpose for which the organization exists, that always stays constant. Instead, there is some drastic change we are going to make, but mission generally stays constant, that this is the purpose of my existence. But the vision keeps evolving. Vision statement keeps evolving. And why it evolves? It evolves in response to the socio-economic political situation and the ever-evolving situation of the business environment. So that is where predictability plays a larger role. While we continue with our business processes and deal with the business situations, but we continue to evolve side by side, evaluate our vision statement continuously to stay tuned to the changing environment. And that is where the vision statement evolves. Like this is a time when a lot of EV is coming into place. Tata created EVs so many years ago, but they could not sell it because there was no demand. Today, every other business house is venturing into EV. So while they are continuing with their business, which is stable, but they are side by side evolving themselves into the EV research and EV production. That's predictability.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Prableen, for building on it. So stagnancy creates, sorry.
Does this address?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. The last question for the day, what just building on to, I think, the data point that Brilliant mentioned. So what role does data and analytics play in assessing and monitoring the impact of change initiatives on employee resistance? Or just to kind of make it a little more tangible, what key performance indicators or KPIs can be used, or you all have seen it being used in your experiences?
All right. So can I take liberty to answer this, Brilliant? And
yes, please.
Yeah. So okay, in my experience, the most common KPI is your bottom line and the top line performance, sales turnover and EBITDA. Yeah. I will use very simple language. How it helped in the growth of the business and how it helped in cost saving. So the common parameters for change, I mentioned about it. Instead of evaluating on the KRAs, KPIs, when the change, a larger transformation goals are in place, it's better to take small breakthrough objectives. Breakthrough objectives, create CFTs, connect them to those breakthrough objectives. Implementation and outcome of those breakthrough objectives will define the success of the change. That's
All
it.
Right. Thanks a lot, Prableen. Brilliant or Rohan, you want to add to this any more KPIs?
I can add to it. I think, there's this famous saying by Peter Drucker, what gets measured is what gets managed. I think very, very important that when you take up a change initiative, it has to be measured and monitored well. And as famously said by Mr. Mukesh Ambani, data is the new oil. If are the organizations of the future, and organizations which will not are going to cease to exist. So when it comes to data, what do we leverage? So I think there are three important things that we need to track. What needs to change? Yeah. How it needs to change. So how it needs to change is the progress that we need to monitor with certain, and when. So there are milestones that we need to track. And any change, there is a larger milestone broken down into smaller milestones.
Yeah.
So every smaller milestone needs to be effectively tracked. And we need to look at it, and we need to be up at it that, are we there? Are we doing the right things? What needs to change? Yes. Do we need to calibrate? Do we need to change? This is something which is a constant process.
Absolutely.
So I would just like to add to all of it while I go back to what Prableen had said, bottoms up, right? One of the measures which I would definitely want to check post change is the employee retention. It will give a sense of how has change impacted in the positive with higher retention, or dissonance in the form of lower retention. So while there are thousands of measures, for me, if I were to really assess the true impact of change, because it's all about people. We are talking about people. People are the ones who will drive the change. I think retention is the key measure that I would want to assess.
Thank you, Brilliant. We have great news. We have time for one more question. So the last question seems like a topic in itself, but let me still give it to you all and feel free to take a stab at it. So, what is the role of psychological safety in workforce while managing change? Because change, as we all understand, it I think, as Rohan mentioned, Brilliant mentioned, it kind of creates chaos. It creates a lot of disruption, and that is the intent as well, to create a disruption. So, how do you manage, or how, what do you feel the role of psychological safety at in workforces while managing change?
It was just to start here,
Sure.
and others can
Sure,
build.
Prableen. And
Good
I
point.
kind of thought that you would be the right person to begin with, as you are also an executive and a leadership coach. So please go on, Prableen.
So, psychological safety is not something which is required only in the time of change. Change is happening every moment. It is one thing which is constant.
Yes.
Yeah, we are experiencing change every moment. It is so fast, dynamic world we are habitating today in. Okay. So, what actually is psychological? Someone has asked a really relevant question, and it is such an important subject of psychological safety. So, one, psychological safety is required for all the age groups. It is not only for teenagers or Gen Z. I also need psychological safety. I too need. Brilliant too need. You too need. Yeah, everyone of us sitting on this. We as human beings have experienced different states of mind. And when it is change, so the fear and anxiety just consumes us. it takes away our rational thought process. Sometimes it's our overthinking which creates a lot of anxiety and fear, and actually there is nothing which is going to damage us. We just start over assuming and overthinking. So just to create a psychological safety net during the change process, because this question is related to change, we need to create those leaders in the organization, those advocates in the organization who will act as my go-to person in the organization. But this will not happen over a period overnight. Yes. It is a process which needs to be evolved in the system. We generally propagated philosophy of feedback is a gift. Yeah, feedback is a gift. Generally, we don't want to be criticized. You can't take any feedback. But we've propagated this philosophy to build a culture of giving and taking feedback and developing a positive bent of mind towards feedback. So this resulted into building a beautiful intervention, which is known as My Friend. It's not my mentor, it's not my buddy. It is my friend, a go-to person for me in my organization, where I can go and unwind myself without any inhibition, without any fear. In the organization like Unilever's, for the people who are working at executive level in the Unilever's, they have those friends. They found those friends in those people who have been ex-Unilever's, and they have taken voluntary responsibility to be their friends.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is how this psychological net is built. But it takes a lot of training for a person to act as a go-to person for them. He has to have that kind of sincerity, that kind of maturity, that kind of empathy. Yeah. Because he needs to build that trust.
Yes.
Tomorrow, someone tell me, Setu is my friend, and you can talk to him. I cannot go and just like that, So generally, from their own set of team, their leader or a cross-functional leader becomes a my friend, and he plays a role of my friend. And these set of people, they have gone through a training to be their friends. So while I'm talking about a general scenario, because this is what we are facing today, Gen Z or people, we are impulsive today. We want so many things very fast. Less time, more money. Less effort, large outcome. Lot of comparisons. I am here, the person who have passed out, he is here. My package is this, his package is this. Oh, my colleague has grown to this level, I have not. Okay, I'm professionally doing very well, but at my personal space, family, someone is ill, my child is not doing well, someone is feeling some kind of repercussion in the personal front, and that is impacting him in the workspace. So we need to have that kind of friend in the workspace who's not acting as my friend just for the professional thing, but also I can go and say, okay, my daughter is not feeling well, or I'm quite ill, and I have this assignment to accomplish. So someone is there to, okay, it will be done. Karna aapko khud hai, but someone is there to support you, to lend that listening ear. In the same manner, when we say change in psychological safety, obviously some employee will come to us and say, ma'am, org structure is evolving. What will be my role? I'm feeling that I will lose my role and my importance in the organization. So that's my fear. That's my anxiety. So does he's enjoying that kind of trust to come and to approach me? Do I have been able to build that kind of trust among my colleagues, my subordinates, my peers, that they can come approach me without any fear and talk to me? So that's a culture which needs to be built. And during the change, this psychological safety definitely goes a long way. And to just alleviate these fears, this anxiety, psychological safety, though it is still evolving and a new concept, management of the department heads, and from department heads to their team members, to make change success, to alleviate those fears and anxieties, communication is very important. But yes, today psychological safety is extremely important subject. And a lot of places, if you come to know, we have started hiring organizational psychologists. They are in place. If we are not finding such leaders, and leaders are taking time to come up to those levels to be go-to persons, organizations are developing those cells also where they can unwind themselves. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I loved especially the first part of your response, which kind of I can sum it up as candor is not just appreciated, it's also expected.
Absolutely.
Feedback is not just appreciated, also expected. Last few thoughts from Rohan or Brilliant, if you want to add on to what Prableen said. What is the role of psychological safety in workforce while managing change?
So it's important, and I would jump into what Prableen said about package and sum it up as CTC. Continuous communication of how change is good, because the biggest thing that affects psychologically is the fear of the unknown. The T is about trust building through continuous engagement, especially with those who are reluctant to change and those who feel that this is not working for us. And I think what we need to look at is build ambassadors, change agents who can help drive the initiatives. And the last C in the CTC is create forums and channels to express concerns, because while we assume everything is good, there are people who feel I cannot talk about this because I will be considered as an outlier in this process.
Yeah.
Outcast, exactly. So can I create a channel where we allow the freedom for people to express? It's okay, no one is judging you. But if we are able to do that, I think that fear, the psychological safety element can be taken care of, because the organization says, I care. I am a friend, but I also bring you some benefits. Over to you.
Lovely. So basically, psychological safety, as you said, it's any kind of formal or informal interpersonal risk that anybody is taking will not be punitive.
True. Yes, will not be punitive. Correct.
Yeah. Rohan, anything that you want to add?
Rather, sorry for interjecting.
Yes,
Whether it's very important to have a great communication framework in place, your skip levels, your one-on-one meetings, continuous engagement with the employees. Sometimes people feel hesitant sitting in the group and talking about it. They prefer one-on-one. So both the interventions play a very important role for helping people and understanding the pulse of the employees.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Prableen. Rohan, I think he's facing some network issues.
Yeah.
Faisal, this was the last question that I had. We are slightly over time as well. So really appreciate everybody being there. Lovely questions from the audience as well, and appreciate the initiative and that HRAI has, and the time that the audience has given us along with the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setu, for taking us through this session and making it interactive and exciting. Thank you, Mr. Rohan, Dr. Brilliant, and Ms. Prableen for sharing your valuable thoughts and insights with us. It has been a privilege having you all for this engrossing session. To all those who wish to learn and grow, you can access the recording of our today's session on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. Before we conclude with today's session, we would also want to thank all the event partners, Geisha, NASSCOM COE, LinkedIn Local, TLE, WICCI for supporting HREI events. To know more about these associations, request you to kindly visit the link provided in the chat window. Do join us for our next session, the 2023 Dialogue Masterclass series, starting from 23rd of October to 27th of October 2023. That's it from our today's webinar. Hope to see you soon. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Thank you all. See you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care.